Welcome, welcome one and all to the on-air programming voted most hated by the outrage junkies. Boy, am I proud of that. The Triggered Tribe, intellectuals masquerading as human minds. If the social justice warriors could burn a show, this would be one they'd throw on the top of the fire heap. Buckle up. It's Brian. I'm in, and very glad you joined us for today's ride. So what do you say? Let's get ready to mortal up. Welcome to episode now 482 of the Brian Brawdy Show. We're doing something a little special, Friday night fights. And maybe this becomes, I don't know, we'll have to see. Maybe this becomes something that we do every Friday night. I don't know. We'll kick it around here in our big staff meeting. See what comes of it. But as always, whether we come off in the morning or we come off in the evening, we are always poised to make this your 20-minute victory. And we joke all the time about who built the net. We don't want to be the ones that break it. But just as importantly, remember, this 20 minutes is designed so that you can mortal up. And then we go and get your magic. And that's kind of the theme of tonight's show, in a way, is that the magic is in you. When we talk about go and getting your magic, it's more, and we'll get to this in a bit, but it's more of an archaeological dig, more of an excavation, if you will. We touched on it briefly a few mornings ago, and then I was doing an interview yesterday or the day before, and this was the one thing that they kind of locked onto, so I thought maybe we could look at that a little bit tonight and use that is something that can help you right now. So if you give me 1/72 of your day, you give me a 20-minute victory, as we like to call them, and we're going to figure out together how you can go and get your magic back out. So why don't we jump right into it tonight so that everyone can take advantage of it. Welcome to your audio vitamin, or as we like to call it around here, sound bites that you can wash down with your first cup of coffee. Well, this evening it would be you wash it down with your first happy hour drink for, what you do when you get ready to wind down for the evening, since we're not doing the morning show. But in any event, let me just say that there's nothing to get. You see all these people, and they're always sitting in front of a book. And I know I used to do it too, because I had a library, right? Sitting in front of these books. Oh, you got to get more books. Got to get more reading. Got to get more this, get more that. And I'm here to tell you that in and of itself is more of the self-help industry tactics. In case you're not familiar with the acronym, let's work it out together. Self-help industry tactics of the motivation industrial complex. Because there's nothing for you to get, but there's plenty of stuff for you to get rid of. You don't have enough time to get the things that everyone wants to sell you. You don't have time for that. What you need to do is get rid of all the crap that's been piled on you since you were born. And that's why today, in terms of the thumbnail, in terms of the logo, I want you to look at it this way. It's an archaeological dig. It's an excavation, if you will. It's your individual ancient history. Just your individual ancient history. Don't have to go back any further than when you were a little one. And I say at times, that we like to think of ourselves here at the show as a rescue thinker, that others may thrive, right? So imagine this is a search and rescue mission. This is a rescue swimmer mission where you're in a little bit of trouble. You find your life, you wake up, you find your life overrun with binge thinking, right? All those thoughts, all the trials and tribulations that have been piled on you since you were little, the sense of shame and guilt and fear and apathy and all the rest of this. Well, we got to go in and get that back out. That's why I say it's like an archaeological dig. It's like an excavation. Like if I had a picture of a jackhammer, I would have put that up there. But what it's designed to do, when we talk about mortal up and we talk about the breathing that goes along with it and some of the visualization that goes along with it. Now, I'm not saying visualize yourself driving a Lamborghini. Somebody said that to me one time. Oh, just visualize yourself driving a Lamborghini. Maybe see if you could get a picture standing alongside of someone else's Lamborghini, right? And then you put it on your refrigerator, and every morning you look at it. Oh, please. You see these people, I want to give you a tour of my house, and it's like an Olympic swimming pool in their backyard. It's not their house, right? So all I'm trying to say is there's nothing left for you to get, that you were born with all the natural resources. You came, maybe not pre-assembled, but the batteries were definitely included when you were born. When we talk about your authentic vigor, right? When we talk about the marrow of your very minds, and as we close most of our audio vitamins, and I should say, if you haven't had a chance yet to stop on over to mortalup.com, please do so. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube page, because even this show, as you know now, everything is going to go through our YouTube page, because we were just busy broadcasting live to everywhere. And it's like, we don't want to break the internet. We'll do the show, we'll broadcast it to one entity, and then everyone else can get links to go there. But you can still head on over to Mortal Up. You can sign up for the audio vitamins. Quick hit, 60 seconds, you're in, you're out. Gives you an idea of how to reframe your mind for the day. You can nominate the Low Life's Making Headlines. You can nominate the Mortal Up. I saw today there was an Australian mayor that was fined for breaking his own curfew, breaking his own stay-at-home order. But the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Lightfoot, right? Thought you'd get me to say lightweight, but I didn't. I didn't say lightweight. I said Mayor Lightfoot said, well, it's important I look my best on camera. I'm the spokesperson for the city of Chicago, so of course I went to the hairdresser. Alrighty then. Well, there's that. No fine for the mayor of the Windy City. All right, so head on over. You can nominate your No Life Making Headlines, nominate your contestant for Mortal Up, or your winner, who you want to be winner for Mortal Up. That person that just, right, is into the archaeological dig. That person that knows what the excavation is like. That person that knows that this is a rescue mission, and that they've done the very best to go in and get their great out. Those are the people we're talking about. And of course, you can head on over to mortalup.com and nominate them as well. All right, so back to the interview that we did and why I think this is news you can use. The visualization, if you will, and I do it every night. I mean, be honest. Are you ever thrilled to fall asleep at night? I mean, I know you're beat. You've been doing things all day long. Your head hits the pillow. Are you ever just thrilled? I'm thrilled because I get to do this one thing. Same reason. When I get up in the morning, well, two things actually. I know what you're thinking, but that's not it. When I get up, well, it could be, but that's not it in this particular case right here. All right, well, that all said. So, two things that I do before I fall asleep when I get up in the morning. One, you know my meditation of thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gratitude without a target. Thank whoever you like. But an overwhelming sense of gratitude that bubbles up to such a degree that once you practice this a couple times, you find yourself smiling. People that happen by while you're falling asleep or while you're sitting there waking up in the morning go, what are you smiling about? And it just comes to your face. You can't help it. It's like, right? Like a traffic accident. You're driving 80 miles an hour down the highway. You have to look, right? You can't look away. It's like a deer in the headlights. Well, that's what people say when they go, what are you smiling about? You can't help it. You just smile when you cultivate that sense of gratitude for everything that's come before and everything that will confront you as you move forward to battle fate. Then the second thing, other than the mantra, thank you, thank you, thank you, as I'm doing, you remember the breathing. Breathe in, use your lungs like you mean it, full, belly full, 7 seconds. I call it 7 seconds to the parasympathetic. It just simply means that if you can time your inhale, I like to time mine for 7 seconds. 7 seconds on the inhale. Make sure that diaphragm opens all the way up. Your stomach opens all the way up. Remember, we had the bellows. I don't know where it is now, but you remember the bellows. 7 seconds to draw in a breath. Hold it for 7 seconds. Then you slowly exhale it out, contracting the muscles of your abdominal. Pull them all in. And then hold that for 7 seconds. So again, my 7 seconds to the parasympathetic, that part of your immune system that goes, oh, everything's cool. Everything's groovy, right? Hey, we're the monkeys. Remember that? So everything's groovy. We're just going to kind of 7 seconds to the parasympathetic. So you have those two things. But now the most important part, other than the gratitude and other than the breathing, which I kind of do as a one, the most important part is this. Now just stick with me. I like to go backwards in my mind. Back. And I think, okay, how far back can I remember? Oh, I remember this when I was 6, and this when I was 5, and this when I was 4, and I remember this the day President Kennedy was assassinated. And I keep going back. And then in my mind, as you know, especially, well, if you have amnesia, sometimes I can't go back very far at all, but, right, in your mind, you get to a point where you can't see any vision, but you start to cultivate a sense that you're going back. You're going back. You're going back. What it must have been like right as you were born, the second that you were born, and you go back, you go back, you go back. And as I said in the interview, I view human beings as a collapse of the wave function. Whether it's the Holy Spirit, Holly, or the Holy Spirit, Wholly, God or gravity, right? A petri dish, right? Or the priest, right? You've heard me say before, whether you walked off the savannas of Africa or we were evicted from the Garden of Eden, whatever it is important to you, right? Same entity, the wave, whether that's the breath that breathes across the waters, that's the Spirit of God, the Ruach, R-U-A-H, the Ruach. In the Old Testament, Jewish Bible, they don't probably like being called the Old Testament. Jewish Bible, that Ruach, that wind blowing across, or it's the wind, the vibrational field of the wave itself, a nanosecond after you come from that wave, after there's a collapse, right? The wave's just moving along, moving along, moving along. And that collapse is you, the collapse of the wave function. Some scientists will call it collapse of the state vector. But from that moment on, the moment of the collapse, look at all that crap that's been added to you, right? You had to be corralled. You had to be commandeered. You had to be socialized. You had to be educated. Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing. What I'm simply saying is just to get control of you when you were little. Let me tell you one thing about this stay-at-home order. Someone said, well, I saw a post on the internet the other day, on Facebook, I think it was, saying, well, now that you're home with your kids, how's, are you reincorporating timeouts into your day? I go, I'm most certainly reincorporating timeouts, but they keep finding me. It's like they can echolocate. They're like bats, right? Not those kind of bats, but bats. They can sniff me out. So yeah, I don't think timeout's going very well. But here's what we do. From that moment on, we look at all the things that were done to put us in timeout, all the things that were done to corral us, right? The philosophical timeouts that you and I were subject to as little kids. Well, there's a residue that's left. There's a fingerprint that's left. So then we get to certain ages, and all that's already inculcated, right? It's already on us. We're already carrying baggage. We're already bellmen or bellwomen, right? We're already a bellhop. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Does that cover both men and women? If I say bellhop, we're already a bellhop. Ding, ding. Come and get my luggage. We're busy carrying everyone else's baggage. Now, I'm not saying they didn't do the best they could. I'm just not a negative critique about anyone's parents. I'm just saying in an attempt to corral you, to make sure that you weren't running out in traffic, playing kickball and having a pair of scissors in your hand, right? They did what they needed to do to corral you, but you get to a point where all this stuff is piled on you. So when we talk about the archaeological dig, when we talk about what it means that there's nothing left to get and everything to get rid of, this exercise allows us to go back to that very instant at the collapse of the wave function and then look at everything that's been added to us since then. Now, obviously, you continue to do your breathing and the like, but I like to picture just falling backwards, and getting to that point where I can go, oh, yeah, there was barely anything attached to me. We said to it, I think the other morning we talked about lop seed and stick seed. Or, as I learned, when you climb around in the mountains out in the West, you can climb around, do some of that low crawl, and you come out with ticks all over you. Whatever it is. Right? Whatever everyone else's philosophical baggage is about how you should behave, how you should be. If you have an upbringing like I did, my mom used to say, well, do as I say, not as I do. Well, and to me, she'd also say, remember, you'll never get too old for me to put you over my knee. But we'll get to that some other point. Right? So that's the baggage we're talking about. That's the excavation that you and I need out of. And when we mortal up, we get to go back to that very beginning and go, all right, great. I get it. I understand it. Things were done in order just to get me to this point. Now I'd like to go back and retrofit, right? When you talk about reverse engineering, this is the point of the mortal up process where you go in and you're able to reverse engineer. You go, I got to here. Okay, back, almost walking down the stairs, falling out of like jumping out of an airplane with a chute. Right? You just keep falling back to that nanosecond after the collapse of the wave function, which is you. what do you got? You have the wave. You're a crystallized portion of the wave. So when we talk about Mortal Up and how it is, and what is it? I think, I forget his name and I apologize, but he says that you're the spark of the universe itself. Well, think about that. Scientists tell us now they study, all the different things that go to make up a human body. It's like an exploding sun from somewhere in the universe way back when. All the ingredients that go to make up you, or large percentages of the ingredients that go to make up you, come from an exploding sun in the universe. And all I'm suggesting is that when you get back to that energy and you're grateful for being that collapse of the wave function, I've said this before, when you thank Mother Nature, Mother Nature looks out for ways to thank you. Now, the divine, in whatever definition you give it, it's been my experience that the universe tends to sit up and go, wait a minute, I think she's on to something. She's thanking us for everything that happened. She has a sense of gratitude for what it means to be a collapse of the wave function. And I think the universe then, what's that quote? Goethe, I think, is quoting the guy from the Himalayan expedition. But he says, the moment one commits, all providence moves too. And I think what providence is saying is that you really can't commit until you know who you are. And once you commit and you're thankful and you commit and go, man, I am so glad to have been and continue to be a collapse of the wave function. I'll go back to the wave soon enough. I get that. We all die, right? I'll go back to the wave soon enough. But I'm so thrilled and so grateful and so thankful to be right here now as the collapse of the wave function. It's my estimation that Providence then looks at you and goes, well, he gets it. She's on top of the game. She gets it. So now we're going to go ahead and dovetail with him or her. And it's not all that, what do they call it? Manifesting, or what is it? You don't get burned. What's her book? The lady, you know what I'm talking about, Secrets, whatever it is, right? But what's the secret? There's nothing to materialize. It's just you. It's an excavation. And when you remove all the crap, when you remove all the baggage, when you remove all the things that tend to water down your wherewithal, the marrow of your very mind, what's Yoda say in Star Wars? You must unlearn what you have learned. Well, that's all this is. So that each night and each morning, I get to wake up and I get to fall asleep going backwards, and kind of like stripping myself of all the baggage that's been thrown on me over all these years. And then what do you have left? Your ability to mortal up. What do we say all the time? There's no way to ricochet like ricocheting at rock bottom. That the human back was built for the corner, right? Our backs were built for up against the wall. And that's the beauty of it. That when we mortal up and we thankfully recognize what we are pre-baggage, right? Before all this, it's like being in an avalanche, right? Well, we're just using the beaker, the transponder to get to you buried in all of this snow. That's when your ability to mortal up comes. And I think Providence sits up, takes notice and goes, holy crap, they know what's going on. Let's get in the fight with them. Let's get in and help them. Let's make sure fate doesn't pull them down. All right, we got to get ready to get out of here. Sorry I missed the Lowlifes Making Headlines for tonight. We'll do that Monday morning, bright and early. But I just wanted you to know up until that point that if there's anything we can do for you, please reach out over to mortalup.com and we'll do whatever we can to help. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. And look, here's the thing you can be most excited about. You don't need to get anything. You just need to get rid of all kinds of stuff so that you can be the badass you've always been. Stealing a phrase from Jen Sincero. I think is her name who wrote the book Badass. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so very much. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Oh, and if I could ask, would you mind heading over to YouTube, subscribing to our YouTube channel? That would be a big help as far as I understand. That would be a big help for us, and we hope a big help for you as well. All right, we're out of here. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe, be well. Look up, stand up, bring your own bold and mortal up, because there's never been a better time to do that archaeological dig and to be you.